The sight of blossoming trees fills me with hope for the future. And you know what makes the journey to the future even better? A full stomach. Today, I'm planning to whip up a gigantic omelette with some fresh lamb ribs. I've had half of a lamb chilling in a since it was butchered yesterday. Time to wash it up and get ready to cook my dish. I'm grateful that I have plenty of meat to enjoy every day. Now, it's time to break down this half of the carcass. First, I'll trim the legs and set aside some of the fatty bits, which my trusty dog can enjoy. With a sharp knife in hand, I begin to cut the legs into smaller portions. He's well trained and patiently waiting for his share without getting in the way. It's quite a pleasure when you have the right tool for the job. You've got to put in some effort at the joints, not the bones. Those ribs are versatile and perfect for any dish. You can even smoke them for a journey, for instance. I'm planning to use the entire cut, not just the ribs, but the legs as well. So I kick things off by slicing the ribs into long, wide pieces, 2 to 3 at a time. They need to be sizable to keep that delicious meat juice intact, or else they can dry out. The wood is burning, the stove is ready, and the pot is going over the fire. I load all the meat into the pot, then head to the well to fill a jar with water and pour it into the pot. I pour in just enough water to cover the meat. I don't need any more. The final step? Cover it up to speed up the cooking process. Now it's time to prepare the vegetables, starting with onions. I'm using the red ones because they add a fantastic aroma and flavour without that bitterness you sometimes get from white onions. I quarter the red onions, add some salt and pepper, and then toss them into the pot. This will enhance the flavour of the meat broth. Now it's the white onions' turn, and I'll chop them up. The red onions won't be left out. They have their role to play in this culinary performance. Next, I'll fire up a large stove, the kind you find in some places where they make pizzas, which we've put to good use. The wood catches fire instantly since it's dry and is placed on already burning logs. I stack the logs in a tall structure to improve the draft. And the result is impressive. I then grab a bunch of fresh, young wild garlic, including the leaves, and chop them into sizable pieces. To improve the draft and heat up the vault, I use a shovel to move the wood to the far end of the stove. The pot is boiling and the fresh mountain air is fanning the flames. With gloves on, being careful not to spill the hot liquid on my feet, I remove the pot from the fire and place it on a prepared surface. The well-boiled meat goes on a separate plate, and the liquid, with its wonderful aroma and a bit of fat, goes into a bowl. Now, with the pot empty, I return it to the fire and add a generous chunk of homemade butter. I toss in the chopped onions and let them simmer in the melted butter. After a while, once the onions are thoroughly soaked with it, I add some turmeric and give it a good stir. As the wild garlic heats up, it releases its unforgettable aroma. We love wild garlic, but gathering it in the mountains is quite a task. Wondering why I've got such a large pot? Just look at the number of eggs I've set aside for it. 3 dozen of them. I crack them open one by one with my hand. No need for a knife. The chopped wild garlic and onions, now sizzling in butter, join forces with the eggs. The ribs form a circle around the edges of the plate, while the leg portions go in the middle. It's like a culinary geometry lesson. I pour the mixture from the bowl over the eggs, ensuring every part gets its fair share. I grab the best tomatoes, slicing them into small wheels, and place them on top of my omelette. It's like a vibrant flower bed now, both visually and in terms of the fantastic aroma. For the grand finale, I wrap the pot with aluminium cooking foil, a nifty invention of the last few decades. Then I place it in the far end of the stove and seal it with a damper. Now it's tea time. I prepare herbal tea from local flowers I've collected. Boiling water is a breeze with my trusty samovar. While I wait for the tea to reach the perfect temperature, I check on the fire, which is still going strong. Finally, the tea is ready. I pour it into my favourite glass. Today, I'm enjoying it without sugar, but instead, I have some local sweet treats. Baklava, a honey-soaked cake. Everyone, including the dogs, loves it. I have a good supply of honey from my own apiary. It's time to finish up the cooking process. I take the pot off the stove. Just take a look at this multicolored beauty. The fat and butter are simmering along the sides of the plate. I'll let the dish cool down a bit. With a wooden spoon, I scoop up a generous portion of the omelette from the center of the dish, along with a rib from the side. Add some more omelette and a slice of tomato. A fresh and crispy pita bread serves as both a fork and a vessel for this omelette vegetable mix. The real fork is for extracting the meat from the bones. A dash of horseradish, some fresh tomatoes, and more omelette. It's a super feast.
Super.